And welcome to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And folks, we got a great show today. We got a great guest in the studio. Miss Chris Ann Hall is the number one constitutional lawyers in the country. And I got a great panel that's going to be here. Doc, I got Lucretia. So if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know you're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. I'm your host, Pastor David. Y'all come on in. And welcome to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And first, let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I want to welcome all you to the show. Well, folks, we got a couple of things we're going to talk about today, but I want to get right into the meat of things. I got a great guest. I met this young lady some years ago before COVID, and her name is Chris Ann Hall, an attorney. And man, we got to know each other. And she was talking then how illegal it was for the COVID restrictions, and that the sheriff had authority. And there's so many other things that she has done since that time. I'm so pleased to have her in the studio. And saying that, let me welcome my guest in. Hey, Chris Ann, how you doing?
I'm fabulous. How are you, Pastor? Great.
Good. Doc?
Hey, how are you? I like the music. This is good.
You still want my little ring?
I like it. It's nice.
So let's get right to the American people and patriots across this country. If you want to call in, I know 708-663-5262. You have questions, or if you get on the text, we'll try to answer them for you. But Chris Ann, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself. What you're doing, how you got started, and the way that you have been just the I say you are the best constitutional lawyer in the world instead of America. Talk to our audience a little bit. Doc, y'all can get y'all questions ready.
Well, thank you. Just briefly, I went to law school when I got out of the military, and when I got out of law school, I went to be a prosecutor. And I worked for the state attorney's office for nearly a decade. But the Lord laid on my heart a passion for the Constitution in law school, and a passion for the history and for the people themselves who wrote our Constitution. So I began reading and studying the Constitution and what the people who wrote it said about it a long time ago. I started in law school so much that I got angry at law school for teaching us lies about the Constitution, because we don't teach the Constitution in law school. This was 25 years. Well, yeah. So 26 years ago, Pastor, 26 years ago, we were not teaching the Constitution in law school anymore. We were just teaching that judges and lawyers know more about the Constitution than the people who wrote it. And now I have done some additional studying in the academics that we teach and the bar exam that we have now for students. It appears that we teach even less now, 25 years later, about the Constitution, but even worse, we don't teach what we should teach, and we teach a whole bucket full of lies. And so it's really very disturbing. So I started when I was a prosecutor, traveling around and teaching the Constitution and telling people, not just what the Constitution says and what it means, but what can we do to restore our constitutional normalcy? where government is established to protect rights, not to attack them, right?
Yes.
Well, I got fired by the state of Florida for teaching the Constitution. And I filed a civil rights. Here I am, filing a civil rights lawsuit against my boss in the state of Florida.
Wow.
For violating my rights of freedom of speech and rights of freedom of association and freedom of press. And we actually, the state almost immediately settled with us. But this was the crazy thing. I had ticked off the most powerful man in 7 counties and could not find a job. Nobody would hire me. So I had to rethink my whole future. And at that time, I think the Lord just sort of pushed me out and said, you're going to be my mouthpiece for this truth. And so I started teaching and writing books and traveling. And 16 years later now, here I am. I'm teaching at a Christian university in Tampa 3 days a week. I have a full-time national nonprofit civil rights law firm. So anybody who wants to actually support a real Christian legal ministry, we have a nonprofit that does that. Any donations will be tax deductible. And then we do lots of appearances like what we have with you right now.
Great. Now, Doc, I know you have some questions, and I want to set the stage for it because the war with President Trump. I want to play this thing about it because President Trump is trying to end this war and make things to the place where we can benefit from Iran. I want to play this clip, and then I want to get your thoughts. I know, Doc, you got some questions up too as well.
Trump says the war with Iran could come to an end soon. At the same time, he's issuing a threat to Iran. He says the country could be hit 20 times harder in the future if it stops the flow of oil in the region. The Pentagon released video overnight showing U.S. strikes destroying Iranian missile launchers. President Trump told CBS News in a phone interview, quote, the war is very complete, pretty much. The president is also voicing disappointment over Iran's new supreme leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei. He is the son of the former supreme leader killed on the first day of those strikes.
We think they should put a president in, or the head of the country in, that's going to be able to do something peacefully for a change.
Late last night, Vice President J.D. Vance attended the dignified transfer of a 7th U.S. service member who was killed in this war. 26-year-old Army Sergeant Benjamin Pennington died from injuries in an Iranian attack on an airbase in Saudi Arabia on March 1st.
Now, this war, and I'm going to ask you the constitutionality of it. There's been things about Congress who said, okay, he did not have the right to go to war. Is that true, KrisAnne? Or how do you see his ability and his authority to deal with Iran? Because we have dealt with them so many years, like 47 years, and they've done the same old stuff. Barack Obama sent them $9 billion in cash to appease them. So what are your thoughts about this war?
Well, what we're dealing with, quite unfortunately, is literally generations of unconstitutional activity. So Barack Obama sending them money, unconstitutional. And the fact that the dealings that we've had with them in the past have also been unconstitutional. We've never been able to properly stop or finish what we've started. And that's really the big problem. So constitutionally speaking, and I know this is not a popular perspective in many places, but it is constitutionally accurate.
Tell the truth.
Speaking, the president does not have the authority to initiate this kind of activity on foreign soil, even if there's a perceived threat. That has to come from Congress. Article 1, Section 8 delegates the power to declare war to Congress. And it delegates to the president under Article 2 the authority to be the commander-in-chief once Congress has declared war. Now, what's really important, a point that we don't spend enough time on, is not just what is delegated where, but why. And our founders, the people who wrote the first Article 1 and Article 2, told us very explicitly and plainly the reason the president has not been authorized the power to make war, right? Not even declare, but make war, is because all of history shows that executives are prone to war at a whim. So they wanted to make sure in our union, Congress, the body of people, the Senate that represents the states, the House that represents the people, must come together in their representative capacity to declare war. And a
Your
lot
thoughts,
of
Doc?
that has been changed.
Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things where you have the rule set, right? So percent is like, okay, these are the rules that have been set. And unfortunately, it has been a slippery slope since those rules have been set. And now we're here. And now
Yeah,
we're
so-
dealing with, you know, in my opinion, a conflict war that we were suckered into.
I mean, that's a real plain way of putting it, and I can't say it's not true. It absolutely is. The
Yeah.
Your thoughts,
reality
Quisha?
is that it's not a war,
Mhm.
and what we have to stay focused on is that the power to declare war is in Congress,
Right.
so that it can be conducted in a successful manner.
Right.
Even under the War Powers Act, which, by the way, is in and of itself unconstitutional, because Congress can't constitutionally send their power other places in the Constitution. I mean, the only way you can do that is to amend the Constitution itself, specifically through Article 5.
Right.
But if we assume for a moment
Mhm.
that the War Powers Act actually gives the president authority to create these kind of responses, he has a very limited window of time, and you cannot plan a successful strategic battle, because it can't be a war,
Right.
in 90 days.
Right. And that means exit too.
Yes,
Okay.
that's
You gotta be out of
exit.
there.
out.
Well, when it comes to the war over there in Iran and what's going on, since it has been like a 47-year slow tick, and Trump went in there because he had to take out, or they said he had to take them out, this imminent danger. If the Congress isn't in the business of declaring war, why are they in the business of funding wars?
Well, they are in the business of declaring wars. That's absolutely their authority exclusively, which is why they are also exclusively holding the purse strings over war. See, that's my point. This is not happening the way it's supposed to. And
Right.
there's Doc, you use that word slippery slope. There's another slippery slope that is intertwined in here, and that's the use of that word imminent, right?
Yes.
So people use that word imminent, but we don't define that word
What
properly.
it looks like.
And I gave an instruction once,
Mhm.
and I thought that it was really effective. The word imminent means, envision yourself. Now, I'm a short woman, right? I'm 5'1" when I'm standing on my toes, but my vision was this: you're in the closet. You're trying to reach on the top shelf to get something. You're grabbing it. All of a sudden, you see a very heavy box tip and slide. At that moment, that box is imminently going to fall on your head. It was not imminently going to fall on your head when you opened the door. It was not imminently going to fall on your head when you walked in the closet. It was not imminently going to fall on your head when you reached up into the closet. Only at the moment when it was actually actively sliding toward your head was it imminently going to hit your head. And we have now used that word, and politicians use it everywhere. That word imminent to describe things that absolutely are not imminent. The very fact that we've been doing this for 42 years tells us that there's a lack of imminence here. So
Yes.
what we need is Congress to make a decision, so the executive president, who is the commander in chief, right? He is not the creator of law. He is the enforcer of law, can make a plan, because Alexander Hamilton said it's important to understand the president as commander in chief is merely a general who orders the troops around. Well, he can't order the troops around if he doesn't have a setting of war in which he has a reasonable time frame to do everything properly.
Randy?
Chris Ann, I love it. I love your delivery and everything that you're saying. You're absolutely 100% correct. However, comma.
No, there's always that however, because of
The however, comma. Yes, there is that. But to your point, the War Powers Resolution, or the War Powers Act of 1973, Congress said, you know what, we want to absolve ourselves of the responsibility of declaring war, because we have already absolved ourselves from declaring war since the World War One, and I would even argue since the War of 1812, when they still haven't formally declared war, really. But they did this. They found this mechanism, and the Supreme Court deemed it as constitutional to say, hey, yeah, you can give the president limited authority to engage in excursions abroad, and exactly, yes, limited excursions, and it's up to Congress. It's up to Congress to extend that, and so we've seen examples of this. Most notably, I would say, with the Libya engagement under Obama, and it was because I bring that up because for the audience here, they're saying that President Trump doesn't have any authority to do this, and yada yada yada. But the Democrats were okay when Obama did it for 7 months. So
Yes,
the exact same thing.
Well over 90 days.
Right? Well over 90 days,
Right.
exactly. And so we have to really examine history and the historical context of congressional responsibility versus the presidential responsibility in these situations. Now, I would say for this particular thing, this is a slightly different. This is more of a bombing mission versus actually deploying troops on ground and everything else, like we did with the Iraq War. Now, the Iraq War, Part 2, not Part 1, not Desert Storm, because everybody forgets that the Desert Storm was Part 1. The global war and terrorism of Iraq, with George Bush and all that, that's Part 2. So Part 2 was a little different than Part 1 as well. Part 1, Congress kind of declared war, and then Part 2, it was more of a, hey, go ahead and use your War Powers Act, and we'll just extend it as needed, and it expanded out to be 20 years of doing this. So there's this conflation within Congress and within the media as to what the presidential powers are. With the Supreme Court step in and say, this is unconstitutional what you guys are doing, don't bank on it, because there's already historical set precedent that this has been going on for over 200 years now. So it's one of those things that we I guess you could say it's a transformation from constitutional norms, as you point out, Chris Ann, that Congress is allowing this to happen, and who's going to rein in Congress? The American people. But the American people do not have the intelligence or the intellectual capacity to reel in Congress, because they themselves don't know the Constitution.
and you know what, Randy? That's so true. Go ahead, Chris Ann.
I wouldn't say they don't lack the intelligence, they lack the education. And
Yes.
Well,
we've been teaching
Therefore,
they lack the
lacking
information.
intelligence.
Yes.
for a really long time. But I do want to address several points that you've made there, which are very important. When I pointed at you, you hit the nail on the head. The War Powers Act is all about Congress shirking responsibility and hiding accountability.
Yes.
That's what it is. They don't want a war on their heads. And because they didn't like how it felt during World War II for the people to look at them and say, hey, you know, our dead boys are on your shoulders. Well, now they can say, no, it's on the president's shoulders, still unconstitutionally so.
Right.
But they have that
Right.
thought, you know, they now have that pretended, our founders love to call it a pretended authority. I want to be in full disclosure here. I am an attorney. I do respect the judicial system. I do operate within the judicial system, but I don't have a whole lot of faith in the Supreme Court. Just because the Supreme Court says something is constitutional doesn't mean anything to
That
me.
is.
Exactly.
Because it was the Supreme Court that said Black people as property was constitutional. It's the Supreme Court that said that the U.S. government could round up American citizens based on their birth heritage, and we don't even realize that we had Japanese Americans, not foreign nationals, actual Americans held in camps for 4+ years. And the Constitution and the Supreme Court said the Constitution said that was okay. And then, I mean, there's lines and lines and lines of constitutionally or unconstitutional opinions rendered by the Supreme Court. So
Correct.
the fact
I
that
agree.
they have given their blessing on this War Powers Act is just about as empty as if I were, because they don't have that thought.
I'm kind of
and-
glad that you brought that up,
That's true.
Chrisanne, about, you know, the Japanese encampments, because I'm always saying, you know, how did we have to write in a Civil Rights Act when the First Amendment says all men are created equal? It either is or it isn't.
Why do we have to have a Civil Rights Act when the 14th Amendment requires equal application under the law?
Yes.
Exactly.
And
There you
then
go.
Right, but that was after. But that I'm just saying, but the 14th Amendment was after the First Amendment.
right,
If you
what
say
I'm
all men
saying
are
is
created equal, then they're created equal.
you had two, right? You had two reinforcements of that understanding. And even though we have the Civil Rights Act, even though we have the First Amendment, even though we have the 14th Amendment, we still have laws on the books that makes our government treat some people differently than other people.
Yep.
And we don't get that that's unconstitutional. We are not allowed to say your life is worth more than my life or that life, and therefore you're going to get a harsher punishment for touching that particular favored life by government.
But you know, guys.
I was gonna say real quick. I'm of the flavor, you know, like you, Chrisanne, that you know the Supreme Court when they render an opinion, and people, this is the thing that pisses me off. This is why I'm okay with saying people are stupid. I don't mind, or lack intelligence. I don't mind because it's true. And
My husband's with you on that. I'm just a little bit more diplomatic, I think.
I get it, and so I say all that to say this, that the Supreme Court when they render an opinion, it is not law, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it's not. Exactly.
Unless they actually struck down and say, you know, or struck down that law and say, hey, you cannot do this. This is unconstitutional. And Congress acts on it by reversing that law still stands. It's just an opinion that gives the courts, the lower courts, the latitude to say, well, you know, this is subjective, so we can go either way with this law, you know, type of thing, because we have precedent. Now, it doesn't mean that the law is off the books or the law is, you know, it doesn't apply. It means that there's latitude within the courts to whether or not how they interpret the law, but the law still stands.
Well, there's also authority in the executive to refuse, and that's what we talk about in the sheriff movie, to refuse to enforce a law that's unconstitutional. And I'm glad I love it. I'm so happy to hear you keep saying that word opinion. Because that's right there on the document. Too many times, you know, I mean, we're Christians, so we know words have power, right? And words, the power of words, the greatest power words have is over here, over our own minds. And so we hear over and over again, the Supreme Court ruled, the Supreme Court ruled, the Supreme Court ruled. The Supreme Court does not issue rulings. Kings issue rulings. Courts issue opinions.
Yes.
If we called them opinions, then we might not treat the Supreme Court like an oligarchy.
Okay, I want to change.
Exactly.
And Randy, all you guys are correct because of the fact that they're not teaching the Constitution in the schools anymore. They stopped that a long time ago. Thus, making the people uneducated about the Constitution. Thus, it could be stupid or ignorant. But that's one of the reasons
And be
why it's
overpowered.
yes, the educational system. Now, quick thing. I'm going to pivot. Your thoughts on some of these tariffs? You know, because they talk about the tariffs as, oh wow, the Supreme Court just said it was unconstitutional for the tariffs. Talk a little bit about that, so because people need to know exactly the truth about what these things are, opposed to what the legacy media is putting out there, Chrisette.
Okay, so if you read Federalist 45, written by James Madison, you get an understanding that the majority of the federal government was intended to be funded through foreign taxation. So imports and exports in and out to foreign countries, the tariffs, as we call them, were supposed to be how the federal government got funded. Now, the power to issue tariffs, once again, rests in Congress alone, because Congress always holds the purse strings. The president is not absent of authority because the president has the authority to negotiate treaties under Article 2. So he can negotiate a tariff, but a tariff does not become implemented through a treaty until the Senate ratifies the treaty. So the president is, like Donald Trump, a negotiator, right? And it takes the Senate to ratify that negotiation to turn it into an enforceable act. Now, the Congress has the power to lay duties, taxes on exports and imports.
Right.
And tariffs are how the federal government is supposed to be funded. And James Madison said that only in the rare case of war should the federal government ever run out of money for tariffs, and only at that time can the federal government go to the states for more funding. And this is wherein lies our problem. The federal government's only mechanism to collect money from the people was through the apportionment clause, which said that the states were to pay their portion of the federal expenses based on the population of that state. So if you've got a big population, you pay more of the portion of the federal debt. If you have a small population, you pay less of the federal debt. The federal government was never, and I cannot even emphasize that. Think of the words "never" coming out of my mouth in big capital bold letters,
Right.
all over it, right?
You might need to
Schoolhouse
remind them.
Supposed to reach into
Schoolhouse
the
Rock
pockets
never.
and have control over the money of the people. That was never supposed to happen. It could only happen through the state and local government, where the people held a tighter rein on power. So tariffs were designed to fund the federal government. The problem is tariffs now have a negative impact on our economy for two reasons. Number one, we're not used to it. We're spoiled by cheap foreign crap. And we're not used to that, right? We're addicted to cheap foreign crap. We're addicted to throw away stuff, so much so we don't even want to buy stuff that lasts anymore. We're so brainwashed into thinking, oh, it's just a couple bucks, I could throw it away and get a new one. We don't want real quality stuff. So number one, our mentality makes tariffs not work, because we don't want to pay for good stuff anymore. Number two, the tariffs are doomed to fail because we're being income taxed at the same time.
Yes.
Yep.
If you want tariffs to work, you have to get rid of the income tax and go back to where the tariffs are designed to work. Because in reality, with the taxation system that we have, and there's plenty of proof out there, you don't have to take my word for it. Every dollar you make is taxed 7 times before you end up keeping what you have. With tariffs, then now your dollar is taxed again.
Yes.
Instead, we need to get rid of income tax at the federal level.
Yes.
Yes.
They're not
But
going to
see,
do that.
Repeat,
Great.
what is it? They have to go back and ratify the 16th Amendment to eliminate it.
Correct.
Yeah,
I think that's what Trump was trying to do. He was wanting to get rid of the income tax across the board and do exactly what Chris said, is use the tariffs instead of taxing us or
Yeah.
coming to the state. President Trump actually wanted to do that. And I think it was a unanimous ruling or an opinion when it comes to immigration and these liberal judges out here that is stepping on the toes of the federal judges. So what do you how do you feel about that? Not only, you know, Trump wanting to completely eliminate the IRS and the income tax, but also some of these unanimous decisions that are coming from the Supreme Court that is going against the appellate court or lower courts that is trying to halt President Trump from the powers that was actually granted to him by the Constitution.
Well, there's two big questions. So, first, I would like to say that because the IRS is an executive branch agency, the president does have authority on directing how that agency works. And what President Trump could do if he had really smart people in his administration, and the right kind of smart people, because we got smart people that are the wrong kind of smart people, and we got smart people that are right kind of smart people. So what he needs is the right kind of smart people in his administration that will go through the act that created the IRS, the act that creates the income tax laws, right? The income tax laws that, by the way, you commit perjury 7 times by the time you sign your income tax return anyway. Go through those laws. They can find what many already know, that as the president, he has the power to adjust how these laws are executed. And in that execution, he can say income tax is voluntary according to the word of the law. If you don't meet this qualification, this qualification, and this qualification, then the IRS will not be collecting taxes from you, and you do not have to file taxes unless you want to. That in and of itself is a power the president could do without Congress, because Congress already wrote the law and it's his job to execute it.
Randy?
On that point, is it true? Because I had some scholastic debate on this. Is it true that when a person files an income tax, they have rendered their voluntary basis of paying taxes by opting in to continuously to pay tax? If that makes sense. If that question makes sense.
Yes, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I would say, constitutionally speaking, the answer to that would be no. Because if something's voluntary, you can always rescind it.
Send it
right?
by not paying. So if I pay taxes this year,
again.
correct.
Right.
So yes, and I explained that to an IRS agent, and he kind of just looked at me.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, you can try that if you want to, and you will go to jail." And I said, "On what grounds? What law did I break?" And he was like,
and that in there is the key, right?
Well,
because the process is the punishment.
yes,
The process is the punishment. You don't pay, you go to jail. If you fight this, it doesn't matter, because all the judges are ignorant about this. The judges, nobody can read this law. Nobody can understand this law. It's written to confuse. It's written to be conflated.
yes.
It's written to be to lack understanding, so that it can be implied in a broad and overbearing way. So you disobey, you go to jail, and that's how that works. That's where Trump can step in and say, no, you're not going to go to jail. I am the head of the executive department. The IRS is under my authority, and I'm going to say we are not going to enforce the law this way. And that's something he could autonomously do.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's why he said you know what? You'll one day get a postcard for your taxes, and you'll just be checking
I
your
mean,
box.
it's
Because I can
possible.
understand from what you're saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If he has the right people, and here's the thing, you mentioned precedent. The Supreme Court precedent already exists for him to do that. When they rendered the opinion that pulled back on the Chevron doctrine, which allowed the executive agencies to fill in the blanks when Congress doesn't define things. So the Supreme Court said, if the law is written in a vague and undefined way, the executive branch and its agencies are prohibited from filling in the blanks.
Oh,
So
wow.
what the Trump administration can do is go through this law that is full of blanks, full of holes, full of vague and overbroad non-definitions, and say, gosh, I don't know what we can do about this. This thing is just a mess. It's so vague. Things are not defined well. We're just not even going to be able to execute this law until Congress does something to fix it.
How do you do that?
There's also antiquity to the law based on current conditions. So to your point, Chris, and if there's under a certain tax law, that thing may not even exist today. So how can you enforce something that doesn't apply to today's living conditions?
Right. And how are you going to force Congress
Yes,
to
go ahead.
actually get up and do something
No, but they
about
don't
all
have
of the
to.
laws?
We don't want them to do anything.
Oh,
Their
Exactly.
non-doing nullifies.
Buys everything.
Nullifies the law.
That's why Trump said one day you'll have a postcard.
Right. Most people have never read the 16th Amendment.
And you know that's the whole reason why we do a show like this. It's to educate the American people and patriots across this country, because they don't know. And a lot of people say, like, Mr. Binky misses this. He wanted to be here, but he had to work. But a lot of people do not know, nor do they understand the Constitution, especially the politicians. They're the worst. They're the ones who's supposed to protect, and they're supposed to understand the Constitution, our rights, and all of that. And I think that's part of it that's missing with the political leaders is, how can you represent something when you don't know what it is, when you've only doing what you're being told? Now, I want to move right quick. I know you are you short for time?
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so I got another topic I want to talk about.
Okay.
The immigration situation. How is it possible for the sanctuary city mayors to continue if the federal government law states the immigration to in these sanctuary cities, that is totally illegal? How are, Brandon Johnson and the other mayors and governors in these states continuing to break the law and not be in prison?
Well, there's multi-layers here. I think that really, because of the nature of your show, and you guys aren't, sprinkled sugars and popcorns. We're getting meat here, right? So
Right, exactly.
I want to give you the meat here. I want you to
Okay.
really understand what's happening. And again, it's what we fail at many, many times is, what's the one thing? I don't know if you guys watched that movie City Slickers, where what's his name? Jack Palance says one thing. There's never one thing. It's much more there's much more depth and much more complication to that. So if you'll allow me just a minute or two to
No, take your time. We got plenty of
Yeah,
time.
go ahead. I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
So most people don't realize this is our second constitution. Okay. We had a constitution before this one called the Articles of Confederation.
Yes.
And we put it together really quickly because we were at war, right? We're at war for independence. But we had to have a constitution to build a union for cohesiveness of the states and to prove to the world that we were all in this together. And if you came over and helped us kick Great Britain off a land they thought there was their own, we would remain together to pay you back, and we would remain together in unity to give you a successful battle to join into. So that's sort of a very bad way of putting that, but that's basically what we have. So about the Articles of Confederation were ratified by the Continental Congress in 1777. They were ratified by the states about 2 years later, or a year and a half later. And then we got through the war, and as we're going through the war, we're realizing that we put this Constitution together so quickly that it doesn't work. First off, it creates a federal government, a central government, they called it, that is so undefined and so lacks such direction and enumeration of powers that it's impossible for anybody to actually know what the federal government is supposed to be doing. So you had states doing things that the federal government was supposed to be doing. You had federal government doing things that the state was supposed to be doing. You had the federal government creating treaties that were contrary to the Articles of Confederation because they were benefiting the industrial states and making the agricultural states pay for everything. So the General Welfare Clause was not about welfare.
Wild.
Yeah. The General Welfare Clause was not about handing out Obama phones. The General Welfare Clause was the direction to the central government that when you create a treaty, when you create a law, it must have general equal application
To
across
every
states.
Right.
Right. So the welfare of the states must be generally attended, not favoring one over the other. That's what the
Right.
General Welfare Clause means.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
they said, we need to do a couple things. We need to create a central government with rules. We need to create a central government that has specifically enumerated power so everybody knows what it's supposed to do and not what it's supposed to do. Now, I tell you all that to set the scene for immigration. Under the Articles of Confederation, citizenship was defined by the state, not by the central government. And what was happening was you could be defined as a citizen of Georgia, but when you crossed over into South Carolina, you weren't a citizen anymore.
Citizen. That's right.
And you went over to North Carolina, and now you're a citizen all over again. James Madison literally called it one of the worst potential embarrassments in foreign relations that America almost suffered.
Yeah.
So immigration laws, who becomes a citizen, was one of the biggest things that pushed us into the new Constitution, which caused the drafters and the states who created the Constitution to say, okay, we are going to delegate our power of citizenship because we have it.
Yeah.
Right.
We're doing it.
Yes.
But we're
Right.
going to delegate it
Delegate it
to
so
the
it's
central
uniform.
government so we have uniformity in the
Mm-hmm.
rules of naturalization.
Right.
So the purpose of the central government is always uniformity through the union.
Yes.
States join the union
Mhm.
voluntarily. I know
Yes.
everybody likes the whole Greenland thing, but we don't conquer countries and make them states. That's not how it works.
No.
We are
So Chrisanne,
on Puerto Rico, by the way, they need to be an independent nation. But you're gonna check. Let me finish, and then we can chase that rabbit. So when a state joins the union, they volunteer to
Yes.
become a part of the union, which means they volunteer to submit to the power that's delegated to the federal government and to exercise the power that's reserved to the states. When a state becomes a sanctuary state, or when a state houses cities that refuse to enforce the uniform rules of naturalization, the state is violating the constitutional contract that it has with other states. So that means the remedy is this. Number one, the law, 8 USC.
Hold up, wait a minute, because I didn't hear the ending of the last part of that. When the state, because you kind of cut out. When the state
so
ignores
when-
federal law,
When a state
what happens
ignores
in
the uniform rules of naturalization, which have been lawfully delegated to the federal government, that state is violating its contractual agreement with the other states. because to
Right.
become a state, you enter the contract and you agree to abide by the Constitution, right? So
Right.
there are several remedies that are lawful for sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. It ultimately comes down to the state, because the state has control over its cities, not the federal government, the state. So if you have a state that's a sanctuary state or a state that's housing sanctuary cities, then 18 USC 1624, 18 USC 1324 makes it a federal crime to hide, house, hire, feed, transport, or otherwise aid and encourage an illegal immigrant to remain or come to the United States. It is punishable by $5,000 fine and 10 years in prison for each illegal alien. So the
Wow.
federal government, the DOJ, should be enforcing this law on the government officials that are doing the sanctuary cities. So that's number one. That's the
You
federal.
mean Pam Bundy? You mean Pam Bundy to actually get up and start putting Brandon Johnson, Mandami, all of the sanctuary states and cities?
Yeah,
It
and
takes
all the
Department of
yes, and all
Justice
the
to do
U.S.
something?
attorney generals that are over each state. That is their job. That's
Yes.
their job.
Their job to enforce
Like
it.
that's all they're supposed to do all day long. That's their job.
The second thing that could happen is what Trump has been trying to do is say, all right, if you're not going to follow our federal laws that have been properly delegated to us through the Constitution, we're not going to send you federal funding. You're not going to get it.
That's
Now,
fair.
Good.
This is a very, very important solution. The next one that I'm about to give you, because it is ultimately the constitutional solution. But to understand it, you have to understand what the Constitution is. The Constitution is a contract between the states that creates the central government. I have a documentary called Non-Compliant at noncompliantmovie.com that will explain all of that to you in an hour. Okay? So go watch that. If you don't understand that the Constitution is a contract between the states that creates the central government, go watch that documentary. Under contract law, when a party of the contract violates, breaches the conditions of the contract, the remaining parties do not have to honor that person's portion of the contract.
So we can say no, that California gets no more money for a train to nowhere.
And the states, the governors and the attorneys general of the states would say, you're not following our contract. We're not going to do commerce with you. We're not going to honor your, we're not going to give you full faith and credit for your rule, for your courts, for any of your documents. We're not going to defend you if you are attacked. You are functionally in breach of our contract, which means you no longer get to experience the benefits of the contract.
Exactly. And that would that sets the tone and the stage for secession by the federal government of the states. And people don't want to get into that conversation, but that is essentially the conversation of that the impetus of the Civil War. It was a breach of contract, and the state said, you know what, screw you, we're out of here. And Lincoln was like, oh, not so fast. I'm bigger than you. We're gonna play big bank, take little bank. How about that, buddy?
We're gonna conquer the states and make them come back and play.
Right.
Yep.
And so yes. And so, but to your earlier point about the immigration piece, and I love that you laid it out that way, because Alexander Hamilton, he made the argument for how immigration was going to play, because he himself was an immigrant. And so he was like, wait a minute.
They all were.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
they all
were.
were. But he was a more recent arrival than everybody else.
Yeah.
And so he was just like, wait a minute, we're talking about kicking people out and all that. So
you know,
I got some invested interest in this. And so he laid down that foundation of how it should look and the uniformity standard. And so it's great that we are a nation of immigrants, and we're a nation of a melting pot of people. However, there is a general consensus, there is an agreement as to who is going to be here and where you come from and why you are here, and that is what is lacking, the enforcement piece.
Right, and
so
the ultimate element of being a citizen is so that you can enjoy the benefits of citizenship. But number one to being a citizen, which has always been this way, is you must submit to the authority and the laws of that nation, no matter where.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to submit to the laws of the gatekeeper to come in, then you are setting a precedent that you're not willing to submit to the laws of the state.
So basically what you're saying is what we've seen, and to the American people and patriots across this country, you really need to pay close attention to these answers. So basically all the fraud with Ilya Omar, Tim Walz, Governor Pritzker, Brandon Johnson, all of these blue states that are stealing money out of these programs, exactly what's happening in Minnesota. It's up to Pam Bondi to see this and then start arresting. She actually can start arresting these governors and mayors. Talk a little bit about that, Kristen.
Yesterday, she could have been doing that. I mean,
Wow.
the
Yeah,
federal
I don't feel like a crazy person. Thank you, because I've been saying
the
that.
federal law is so clear. I mean, I have been teaching this federal law. I have several websites. KrisAnnHall.com with my name, KrisAnnehall.com is my main hub. I have educational classes. I mean, actual classes with take at your own pace, quizzes and workbooks and stuff for people who are 6 to 106. And that website is libertyfirstsociety.com. All spelled out, not the number, but all spelled out, libertyfirstsociety.com. And I have been teaching this for over a decade. Of all the laws, these laws are simple. They really are. You can pick it up and
And you said that was Liberty what?
libertyfirstsociety.com.
Yeah,
We have
because
lots
I've
of
always been
pathways,
looking
lots
into.
of programs. I'm sorry,
Go
Doc.
ahead. No, go ahead.
So the law that gives the penalty for aiding and encouraging aliens is so simple. And here's the terrible thing, and I'm sure this won't surprise you. The DOJ enforces this on people, but they refuse to enforce it on the politicians in the cities that actually encourage it, who are actually violating it.
Exactly.
You arrest some mayor or you arrest some governor for this, you're going to put an end to this. But they don't, because they created a separate class of people that are above the law.
To your point, Chris, and to your point, here at Fort Hood, Texas, a couple years back, I had a former soldier who was arrested. Well, she wasn't my soldier, but she was in my company. We had a former soldier that was arrested and charged for human smuggling of illegal immigrants across the border into Texas, and they threw the book at her. And she is, I believe, she is still serving prison time for that offense. And it's like, okay, you did that to this individual, but here it is. You have everyday politicians that are shuttling people around the country, flying them here, this and then the third. That's human smuggling as well, because they are too illegal immigrants. And so,
and that's not really because Governor DeSantis did it. Governor Abbott did it.
Yep.
And it was a big political stunt that I was like, woo, give them what they, give those blue states what they ask for. When you're violating the law and you have no idea who you're transporting to the middle of the U.S. How do you know that those are not terrorists who are laughing in your face because they don't know Delta Airlines ticket and a credit card to go take over middle of America.
That's what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton,
Crazy.
that's what they stood for. That was the mission. And each one went out and did, especially that Barack Obama, man. I got a tape playing. We're going to talk about him after in a few minutes over at Jesse Jackson Funeral.
No.
But
I did have a question. So
go ahead,
you were
Chrisanne.
referring to Title 18,
Oh, Lord,
Section 1324 in harboring,
Title
correct?
8 USC 8.
Is Title 8, Section 1324? Oh, Title 18, Section 111.
No.
That's the one I was talking
8
about too.
USC
1324. Yes.
8, not 18.
8 USC. 8
Eight,
USC.
yes. I sometimes I get Title 18 and 8 mixed up, but Title 18, Section 111, that is where you can't interfere with a federal agent in the process
Yeah.
of removing somebody that's here illegally. And they've all violated the law. Every single one of them. I do not
I mean, I just
understand.
gave you 2. I only gave you 2, and there's.
But those 2 should have like 12 people in jail right now because I look at them as impayers.
They should have
Right,
been
they're
locked up a
impaired.
long time ago.
Gavin Newsom, Karen
Pastor, I
Bass,
do have to run. in a
Pritzker
few minutes.
Johnson,
Okay.
Hochul Adams. You know what I'm saying? They're,
Well, you know, I
they
want
go
to give
together,
you your
Waltz
last.
and Fry.
Go ahead and take your last few minutes to talk about a little bit how people can reach out for you. I know you got the classes, and I'm thinking a day that maybe if you shoot us I can get the that show and we can put that on our show network. You know, we got a new network, so we can talk about stuff we can upload to the network for teaching and all that kind of stuff. So go ahead, your last few minutes. Go ahead.
You know what I can do, Pastor, is we have 2 award-winning documentaries. We have the one non-compliant and the other the sheriff. I can send you the MP4s of those with my permission, and you can put them on your network.
Yes.
Everybody can watch them in
Yes.
their entirety at no cost.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Do please do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
I will.
Yeah.
I have my guys sitting right here. They're listening to me. They'll remind me.
Okay, great.
that-
And I'll upload it to our TV station, and people can go there and watch it, and we'll give that information out. I love it when you come because you've opened up people who are watching this show. You've opened their eyes up to know the truth and we be saying it all the time, but this is verification. We be saying, lock JB up, lock Newsom up. They got to go. And people probably think, people said, Pastor, can they actually be locked up? And you have answered these questions to the American people today because you've given us our power back. Your last few words, the floor is yours. I love it. And I can't wait to do it again.
Well, I just want to say I'm so grateful to all of you for the sacrifice of your time and your resources to do what you do. We are a body of people, and we will never see success unless we work together in a successful way in truth. I am a Christian, and you know that. I don't super spiritualize things, but the Bible is absolutely true 100% in every aspect. And in that aspect, it teaches us that we are stronger as a threefold cord, and that we must stand for truth and righteousness because that's what exalts a nation. I understand the temptation to say, well, Obama did it this way, so we can do it that way too. Wrongs never add up to righteousness.
Yes.
And God said we must repent from the wrong and seek righteousness so he can exalt
Come
us
on.
and he can save our nation. You see, God can do anything he wants, but through us, he's made us vessels that are conditionally operating under righteousness. When we don't choose righteousness, God can choose not to help us. But when we choose righteousness, when we choose what's right and we choose his truth and we choose to walk in his path, the Bible says God cannot choose to not bless us. So
That's right.
I'm in the middle. This is all in my spirit because I'm actually writing a book about how the Bible is a contract. And when you read God's word as the law written by the supreme judge of the universe, there are certain phrases and legal clauses within the Bible that declare that God, who cannot lie, who cannot change his mind, who is the supreme author, the supreme judge of the universe, there are some phrases that actually limit God's ability. And when we do what God tells us,
Yes.
God says, I shall bless you. And we have to be righteous and not full of excuses.
Thank you so much, sweetie. I love it, man. Anytime, get me those MP4s. I'll put them, upload them on the network. Yep, and we'll keep pushing it. Bless you, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank
God
you,
bless.
Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris Ann.
Guys,
She's amazing.
Yes,
She is.
yes.
She
I
did
mean,
a
she
lot.
is.
Fire.
Well,
And
you
I'm-
know,
I-
that's
I'm
I
why-
writing
prayed for
notes.
years to meet her. Like when I saw her, I was like, God, I want to meet her. And it's just to
Look,
have this is a blessing.
I just wanted, she's fantastic. She knows the law, and she loves this country, and she loves people, and she's a God-fearing woman, and that's what we need in politics. That's why I'm running for mayor, is because just that reason. How can we expect for people to do righteous work if we elect people we know that's not going to do the work and they're going to do evil work?
There you go.
We can't
Because they
expect
don't
that.
care. They're running off emotions right now. And right, as you said, you was going to bring up the Jesse Jackson funeral and everything. That was straight evil emotion in a homegoing ceremony.
Well, that's exactly what I want to talk about, because we did a show about Jesse, and I must say I told the truth about Jesse in the previous show that we did. But I want to say this: what we saw over the weekend at Jesse Jackson homegoing celebration was a damn shame.
Sure was.
You had it, and this is why, to the American people and patriots across this country, listen to the one I'm about to tell you. This was a platform for Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, even his son, Jesse Jackson Jr., to put politics at his funeral. Now, Jesse Jr. was talking a few other days ago about, well, we're not having politics at the funeral, okay? All right. But what happened when they got in there was Jesse started off really himself. Then Obama got into it, and he ain't been in front of black people in such a long time. He didn't know what to do with himself. You see, the black
Trying to sound like a
Americans.
preacher. I was like, what are you doing?
Thank you.
Listen,
He sounded ghetto wretched.
right, with two black Americans across this country. Now that the cover is off President Obama, we know that he did nothing for the black community. He didn't even intend to do anything for the black community. This whole form was to trick us, because they was deceiving us by pushing homosexuality, and he was trying to cover Big Mike. Barack Obama's only mission was to come and push homosexuality because to change it and normalize it. And he hates this country so much that he put it into the schools. He changed laws so it could only affect straight and God's people. He did everything that he could to destroy the black community. And yet we are still standing, you raggedy beat, beat, beat. And we ain't going nowhere. But Barack Obama, we know you. We know what you did. And we're going to stomp a mud hole in you when you step out here and get into the political arena, and then you tell black men that your son need a homosexual mentor so he can be fully round. So when this
It's the
Negro,
whole state religion. I'm telling people, there is a new state religion. It is called the LGBTQ plus 2S. Everything you said, Pastor, is correct. And it's in the schools,
exactly,
it's in the churches, it's everywhere, because they want to force you to accept something and believe something that isn't true.
exactly.
And we have to stand up against it.
Your thoughts, Lucretia?
But why in
You
the
should-
pulpit? I mean, Doc, why in the pulpit? Is the most sacred place inside of the church is the pulpit.
Because
that is where the
Yeah.
direct words are coming from
Mhm.
God. But you're speaking and you're talking to Black people in the pulpit that is not of God.
Lucretia, you're
but
making
see,
it. You're
Satan can
making.
be in church. Satan can be.
No,
Satan loves God. He was created to love God, but he doesn't obey Him.
y'all making the mistake of saying that this was a church. It was a domain, a
It was an
place.
arena.
It was a place of where they worshiped the devil, and
Exactly.
they all came together
And that's
to
probably what you
worship
saw.
their devil, and that's what
Yes.
it was. It was a pulpit, but it wasn't a pulpit of God.
Yeah.
It wasn't a pulpit
Exactly.
of a heavenly exhortation. It was a pulpit of hell, and so that's what they were doing. They came together and they wanted to pat each other on the back. They wanted to,
Because if he's supposed to be
bash-
a reverend, and we talking about Jesse Jackson, I'm air quoting the reverend part. If he's supposed to be a reverend, you would think you would want people to remember who you were. That is, men of the faith, God fearing people. I don't think I've heard, Clinton, Biden, Obama, or Kathleen Harris even mention God more than 2 times.
Not
Any
not
of them. It's
mention-
just straight hate for.
They can't. They
The
can't.
Luciferians.
You've never
they
heard Joe
worship
Biden
Lucifer.
say, God bless America. I have never heard Barack Obama say, God bless America. I've never heard him say nothing about Jesus. And when Joe Biden said, the big guy upstairs. See,
Luciferians. That's why. They're all Luciferians.
I'm saying it
they worship
because
Lucifer.
to the American people and patriots across this country, we have to understand the evil that the Democratic Party, I'm not saying the Republicans aren't, there are some the same, but the Democratic Party has just come right out in the open and say, the hell with the Americans, the hell with God, we gonna do what we want to do, and we gonna do it, and what you gonna do about it?
Mhm.
Well, this is what we gonna do about it. Barack Obama, we gonna run your ass out of Chicago. And the library that you say you got, the museum, it's not a museum.
Yeah.
I got documents showing
What
that
is-
it is a satanic temple. That's what it is. It's a place to sacrifice and worship
It's
Satan.
what, Pastor?
A satanic temple. That's what it is. That's
Wow,
exactly
wow, wow.
what it is. And so people need to understand what it really is. And we need to pull a cover off this so people won't get confused, especially black citizens. All them black people were sitting up there. Barack Obama ain't being in front of that many black people to lie and shake a leg and talk about, well, on what. Wait, let me play a little bit of it, guys, so we
Go
can
ahead.
critique
Here we
this
go.
Negro.
Bad. He
Yeah.
talked for 30 minutes.
It's good to
Hold
be
up,
home. What that?
hold up. First
It's
of
good to be
all,
home.
to black
Yes.
citizens across this country, especially to Chicagoans, it is a disgrace that Barack Obama would step up and tell a damn lie like that, talking about it's good to be
Good to
home.
be home.
What did he do for home? I'm gonna stop right there. What did he do for home? He didn't do nothing. He didn't create no economics in Chicago. He didn't create no laws to help black families. He didn't do nothing in Chicago but use Chicago like toilet paper. And he have the nerve to say it's good to be home. Y'all, I'll play a little bit, and I don't know how much longer I can
Yeah, because
stand
the
it. But
skin crawls.
yeah, man, you know what, man? A mud hole could be stomped. Look at him.
Ugh.
He done changed colors. He's so much
Well,
evil
that's
in
what
him.
evil will do to you.
He turning dark.
Change you. Yes. It will
When you
start
get-
to corrode you and you'll see it
I
from the
will.
outside.
When you are doing unnatural things against God, you're going to turn dark. Look how dark he is. That's all the evil that's going to him. Let's play this, and I'll play as long as I can take it. Man. Go ahead.
I love you back. The book of Isaiah.
Oh no.
He quoting scriptures. Hurry up.
Even Lucifer
Now,
gets
see, I
quote
believe in the
scriptures.
Constitution.
Look. Yes, ma'am.
The book of Isaiah God is looking for a messenger
Ain't
to
you?
guide a hardened and resistant people. And the Lord asks, whom shall I send?
Not you. I mean, let me turn my volume down.
And who will go with us? To which Isaiah replies, here I am, Lord. Send me. To Mother Jackson and the Jackson family, to President and Mrs. Biden, President and Secretary Clinton, Vice President Harris, Pastor Dates, my old friend, though he looking good, Reverend Meeks, Reverend
Mr.
Jenkins.
Homosexual Reverend Meeks. Had to put that in there.
It is an honor to join you today to celebrate the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson,
He didn't like you.
a man
Sure didn't.
who, when the poor and the dispossessed needed a champion, and a country needed healing, stepped forward again and again and again and said, send me.
I'm waiting for Jesse to jump up out that box.
Reverend Jackson's immense gifts were apparent at an early age, even if his circumstances conspired to try to hold him back. Born out of wedlock to a teenage mom, growing up under the oppressive cloud of segregation, confined to schools, sports facilities.
I'll
movie
give y'all some time to
theaters,
talk about
or
that while I want to get to the meat of this conversation, okay?
You can't fast forward that one.
That was-
where, things
It's just so,
Stories.
it's sad.
that would make you laugh one minute and cry the next. And whether you are a bus driver or a teacher or a business leader or a young organizer, you came away from those meetings with a better understanding of how the world worked, how power worked. And more importantly, he made you believe that if we came together, we could make the world work better. Now,
Okay, I got to stop right there, guys. And we got to talk about this right quick.
I know I got the stank face.
He's a good orator. He is.
He's full of shit.
he's
That's what
both-
he is. Let's be honest with you.
He presents.
That's what it is.
He
You
does
know what?
present well.
you know
But
what?
see, Satan is also a good orator.
Orator.
That's why I
Yep.
wanted to
Yes,
make that
but
juxtaposement.
you know, I'm sitting here watching this guy,
Mhm.
and he's speaking all of these eloquent and shit. He and out of 8 years, he talking about unity. Out of 8 years, Doc, is the black community in a better position? Y'all watching the show. Y'all
Absolutely
ask
not.
yourselves if our
No.
country is better
No.
now
Worse
with the
off.
environmental. Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead. All y'all
It's
got a
worse.
shot at it.
We have more abortions happening in the black community. More of our men don't even know who they are. They want to be with each other or any other man, and don't even know that they're men walking around trying to be women. Dwayne Wade allowed his son
Yes.
to be mutilated. Really? We all out
Mhm.
here. He brought in this evil. See, people don't even think about CERN and that 2015
Yes.
vacuum that happened. because ever since that time, there has been nothing but demons and evil since that time.
Yes.
Is that when CERN turned itself back on? Was 2015?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because I couldn't figure that one
2015.
out. It's been
Yep,
messed
with
up
that big
our
old
whole
ceremony
timeline.
that they had.
And they was looking for the God particle or something like that. Our whole
Yes, they were.
life has been flipped upside down since they turned
Yes,
the
ma'am.
CERN back on and started looking for the God particle or the ghost
Mhm.
particle. It's
Yes.
one of those words.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Randy?
You know, Barry Hussein Sotelo.
That guy. That dude. That
Oh,
dude.
there you go.
See, y'all don't know. The American people, patriots across the world, as Pastor Larry would say, Barry Hussein Sotelo. He pulls the wool over the eyes of the world. He is the Antichrist. He is the very, very God particle, if you will, that was sent here to disrupt the world. And people have been mesmerized and captivated by his beautiful words, his beautiful disposition.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people have been enamored, so much so that they denied themselves to be in favor of him or for those who follow behind him that are in positions of power. And this lets you know that the way of the world has been dissipated from the eyes of God. He said, okay, you want this guy? Go for it. But let it be known to you that when your day comes, and I believe it is in Hosea 6:8, my people will perish for a lack of knowledge.
Yes.
But he would also say, away from me, thou worker of iniquity, for I have never known you.
Yes.
You did not know me.
And
That's
the thing.
that's where we at.
Yep. And you know, because of the fact that we accepted Barack Obama, and a lot of us, and y'all watching the show know I'm not lying, voted for him because he was the first black man that they wanted to see become president.
Yeah.
See, Barack Obama wasn't elected, he was selected. They knew that they were going to position him to become the black president and then usher in all the bad things that he brought.
Mhm.
That was the bottom line. He profited the black community nothing, but everybody else did. And we had black people running around here wanting to fight you about this Negro who didn't even give a damn about the black community. The psychological Stockholm syndrome is in the black community so bad.
Yep.
And black people, just like all the pastors got together, all them Negroes got together reaching at this Negro, like they was blessing somebody. And look at the same Negro pastors scared to go outside their church and deal with these young men and women and try to educate them and try to teach them and try to give them the spirit of God and teach them about Christ. Same ones now whose sons and daughters are in jail and the education system ain't teaching them. The same old Negro pastors sitting around there now talking about, well, you know, he did trick us now. He did. Remember?
Yeah.
Ira Acura said when they was protesting about the taxes raises, he said, well, we voted for him and he did trick us.
Yep.
Now that black people can see, they part of the problem because they wanted the money. See, the church done got
And
so
they didn't get the
compromised
money.
now. Yep. They so compromised now, man. That's why people ain't going to church, because to the American people and patriots, to Christians, you are the church. You don't need to be sitting up in the building if you don't have the spirit of Christ in you.
Where two
What
or
that
more
look
are
like?
gathered. Yep, where two or more are gathered in my name.
Why do you think when I open this show up, I give all praises to God in Christ? because I invite him to the show because we're going to tell the people the truth. That's what the bottom line is. But I'm
You
gonna play
got
a
me
little
over
bit more
here
of this.
looking for God particles.
Let me put this out here. I got a shorter version for you, for Mr. Jack Leg.
We are living in a time when it can be hard to hope. Each day we wake up to some new assault on our democratic institutions.
What are you
Another
talking about?
setback to the idea of the rule of law.
What are you talking about?
An offense to common decency. Every day
Hell
you
no.
wake up
Buzzwords.
to things you just didn't think were possible. Each day we're told by those in high office to fear each other and to turn on each other.
No.
And that some Americans
God,
count more
okay.
than others. And that some don't even count at all.
It's almost over.
What is he talking about?
Everywhere we see greed
I
and
know.
bigotry.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Wait a minute.
Okay,
Wait a
wait.
minute.
Well,
Wait
Hey, why are you up there lying?
a minute. Wait a
Greed and
minute.
bigotry? That's the whole Democratic Party. Really?
This
Stop.
Negro said, wait a minute. He said out of his mouth, greed
And bigotry.
and bigotry.
That's him.
Huh?
They
See-
are what they speak of you.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
Completely that's going on with them. They don't have any money. They're broke, right?
So
But are the MC Hammer broke? Is the question. They're not.
No,
Right.
no, and so all of this stuff he's talking to the people, he has done nothing that he said to make this country great at all. Nothing. And so this to the American people and patriots, what we seeing now should be the end of Barry Soweto. This should be the end of Barack Obama. He was in front of a lot of black people. He forgot he forgot where he was at. And not only that, he forgot that he ain't did nothing for the black community. He forgot. Oh, well, I got all these black people in front of me, and I'm back myself again. I tricked them again. That's the same way with Jesse Jackson Jr. He used his father's death as a political ploy, just as his son Jonathan. They're hoping that people feel sorry for him. And Jesse Jackson Jr., see, let me say this about Jesse Jackson Sr. He was a liar, a thief. He didn't care nothing about the black community. All he cared about was politicians that he could shake down. If he could shake you down and get cash out your pocket, he would help you. If you didn't have no money, or if you didn't have a position that he could use you for, Jesse Jackson didn't give a damn about you, and it reflects in the community because there ain't a damn thing good going on in the black community. Go ahead,
You
Lucretia.
remind me of Hosea Williams when he realized what Jesse Jackson did right after Martin Luther King was dead, and how he got all that blood in the front of his t-shirt is because he
Yes.
was not up there to begin with. He reached down and wiped the blood all over his shirt and then
Yes, he
bounced
did.
on a plane and went to Chicago. That is all out there, and I trust Hosea Williams and his life and what he accomplished more than Jesse Jackson. This, you being a pastor, having a baby out of wedlock while you were still married to your wife, disqualify you of having a name and a title of pastor. I mean,
Exactly.
To that point, Lucretia, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because they did an interview that next day when Jesse Jackson flew back to Chicago. He got on WGN, I believe it was, but
Yep, with a bloody shirt.
Yeah, with a bloody shirt on, and the anchor said, "You didn't have time to change your shirt." And he's just like, well, you know, it's just a traumatic time. And she was like, "You still could have changed your shirt."
Let's keep it
happened
real.
It happened 2 days ago. Like,
Right.
you run around in the
Jesse
same
Jackson.
shirt. Come on.
Jesse Jackson did not like Barack Obama. because
No, he
they
said
was
he
in the
wanted to
street.
chew on his
Called him the
balls.
N-word undercover.
Yes.
He said it
Mhm.
under his breath and it was caught on a hot mic.
Hot mic.
Yes,
Yep.
Hard
right,
R.
exactly.
Need to cut his balls off. Stupid nigga.
Yep. And so here we are. This is why I say this is all just a big front. And I wanted to
Theatrics.
put it out there. How much longer are black people going to continue to sit back and be made a damn fool out of by people like Barack Obama, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Ben Crump,
Ooh.
Nepad Harris, all of
Those
them.
are their gods, small G.
Wait a
Those are
minute.
their
Don't
gods,
forget
little
about
G.
Warlock. You got to throw Warlock up in
Yeah,
there too
Warlock.
now.
down
but
here in
those
Georgia.
are their small gods, little G, because there are people that there are people that worship Trump too, and they shouldn't. Like I'm always telling people, I support the seat of the presidency. We're going to have several people in there,
Right?
but we
Mhm.
cannot worship these people. They are not God. We pray that God works through them.
Well, I'm gonna finish this off.
But
We
they're
almost
not
done
God
with Barack
themselves.
Obama. I'm gonna finish it
We
off, and
still
I'm gonna
gonna
get y'all
listen to
last.
some more of that man.
That we-
Okay, Pastor.
We gonna get. We almost done. I just want to get it out.
You're beating this horse with to the glue.
I want him at the glue factory.
Mockery
What are we doing?
masquerading as strength. We see science and expertise denigrated while ignorance and dishonesty and cruelty and corruption are reaping untold rewards every single day. We see that.
Oh, now you
And
concerned
it's
about
hard
science?
to hope. It may be tempting for some to compromise with power
You.
and grab what you can,
It's almost over.
or even for good people to maybe just put your head down and wait for the storm to pass. But this man, Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson,
Hated your gut.
inspires us to take a harder path. And because if we don't step up, no one else will.
He gonna cry now.
How fortunate we were
Are you serious?
that Jesse Jackson answered that call.
Okay, y'all. Okay,
He's talking about denigrating science.
but he
That's
talking about
been-
himself.
Yeah, that's been the epitome of the Democrat Party. They denigrated science from day one. They come up with the climate change hoax. They denied that the fact that men are men and women are women. They deny the fact that men can't have babies, despite the fact that several people testified in front of Congress, which they should have went to jail right afterwards for lying under oath, saying that, oh, men can have a baby. Please prove to me, ladies and gentlemen, anybody out there, I don't care where you at in the world, please prove to me an example of a man having a baby outside of a seahorse and a bird.
Doc, your last words. We gonna get out of here. Once we give Lucretia, let's go. Go ahead, Doc.
I'm glad that people are showing you exactly who they are. And they're saying exactly who they are. You just have to
They are.
listen to them real close. Because that was a whole admission, in my opinion, just trying to throw it off on somebody else. It's sad. I'm glad that, Chris Ann was on the show with us today and that we're not
Yes.
crazy. These people actually should be in prison violating
They should.
Title 8, Section 1324. Thank you for that. And I'm glad that we're coming to the reality that life isn't perfect. We can do better and we will do better.
Lucretia?
And basically, if we don't learn from all of this and pay attention to what's really going on in the United States, we're lost cause at this point. If we don't put an end to it and open as many eyes, because God only commanded us to witness in his name. And if we don't get back to the fundamental basis of it all, of what he tried to destroy and what he still got his hands in, then we're going to be backwards. And I think with the four of us, that's our calling, is to make sure we get out there and we do witness in God's name and combat that evil that we just had to listen to, because he makes my skin crawl.
Well, guys, I want to thank y'all for coming on the show, man. And I love Chris Ann Hall because she's part of this team, and I want to, Lucretia got some stuff coming up next week, next month. We're going to talk about she'll be.
Yes.
Tell them where you're going to be at, Lucretia.
I'm going to be at the NRA convention. It is guns, guns, and more guns. Basically, I'm on the board of directors of the NRA, and I'm also going to be doing the Voices of the 2A, which is on their media row. So instead of me being, I have a booth, but instead of me being locked down in a booth, I have to make it a way where I'm a roving reporter at this convention, over 5,500 vendors for 3 days, even though I got to be out there for 6. So right now, I am the only Black female on the board of directors, and I think I'm the only one that has been there since the 90s. So at this point, I want to just make a great example, not only when it comes to the gun and advocacy for our Second Amendment, but also to make sure that I step up into that media role as not only being on Pastor Lowry show as the commentator, but also for the Real News. So right now, I'm just looking for a lot of backup, and I'm looking for backup for our whole self. Pastor know what I'm talking about. I'm looking for sponsors to help me get out there, to put the first best foot forward, and because this is a life-changing opportunity. Not only am I allowed to be on the board of director and leadership position, but I'm also now going to be the face and a voice of the 2A. So I'm just trying to figure out how can we convey that to make sure that I have the best opportunity and the best foot forward when I get out there, because this is a life-changing opportunity, not only for me, but also for Pastor Lowry too.
Well, it's going to be a situation for all of us, and we'll get with you because we are your backup. We are your team, and we're going to put things together so that we can make sure that you get there and so that you can do what you need to do and carry the banner. It's going to be in Houston, Texas, so I'm thinking about being right there with you. Okay. So, but yes, we're going to make sure, and we'll all talk about what we can put forth at this higher platform so that we can keep the American people informed, especially our Black citizens, and show them what it really means and what the NRA can do besides prevent guns. Blessing, guys. I'll be talking.
Pastor, if people really knew about the NRA actually was founded for free Black slaves, sharecroppers, and everything else. Instead of always being on the offense, the defense when it comes to attacking the 2A, what we need to convey is that this 2A literally is the oldest civil rights organization in the United States of America. And they need to start walking that out, because not only does the Bill of Rights tell us the Second Amendment is a well-regulated militia is necessary for the free state, and it should stand, that the NAACP might be a civil rights organization, but the NRA was way before them.
Yes.
Thank you so much. You guys, we're going to get out of here. I'll be talking to you maybe Friday. We can do something if y'all got time. I'll send out an email. Thank you, and I enjoyed you guys. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in to the show. It's always a pleasure and an honor to have KrisAnne Hall on our show. She answered a lot of questions that you might have been thinking about. If you were thinking about all of this stuff, illegals, I mean, the whole gamut of laws are being broken, and the Constitution is not being followed. And it's been that way for a while, but we're going to make sure that we can keep you updated and keep putting the truth out there so that you can know how to deal with situations when they arise. Folks, also, I want to let you know, you can go see us at our new platform, television platform, LetTheTruthBeTold.lightcast.com. It's running down at the bottom. And also, you can go see us, watch our show, and subscribe to YouTube. My name, David L. Lowry Jr. I have a channel now that they've given me. Also, you can subscribe to Moments of Truth 9920. That's on YouTube. You can find us there. Also at Rumble David Lowe 1057 at Rumble, and on X it's at David Lowry Jr. 1. Folks, these are my last words. To the American people and patriots across this country, we can see what this country was like under the leadership of Barack Obama and Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. The country was going to hell in a handbasket. Everything was turned upside down. And now that President Trump is president again, we can see the changes. We can see what the ideas that he had about making this country again is flourishing. And to the American people and patriots across this country, how can we believe anything that the Democratic Party is saying when they don't even want to have people to show IDs to vote? They open our borders. They put all these illegals here, all these terrorists in our country. And yet we still, after all the trials and tribulations that the American people have suffered under the hands of the Democrats, it's time, especially for Black Americans, to come out of the plantation of the mind of the Democratic Party. It's time for us to be an independent voting bloc. We have to take our time. We have to look at who is bringing something positive and godly and righteous to the table for America, and especially the American citizens. And we don't see that. I don't see that re-electing old washed up politicians like Jesse Jackson Jr., who stole millions of dollars of taxpayer money, now talking about, let me come back to steal again. I don't see it. How can we progress if we keep going down the same road that we went before and know that nothing good comes from it? How can Black people sit here and think to even listen to a Barack Obama who did nothing for us? He destroyed the Black community. He introduced homosexuality and took care of everybody else. He was part of destroying the church. And yet, he said Black men should have a gay mentor, just like he had in college with Skip Johnson. To my people, the true word is this: if my people would call to heaven and turn from their wicked ways, God is saying we need to turn from our wicked ways. We need to quit following people we know that are evil. The Democratic Party is evil. And the only way we're going to get back in God's good graces is we're going to have to stand on righteousness, because Matthew 6:33 says, first seek the kingdom and its righteousness, and all will be added to you. To the American people and patriots across this country, let us put God first. Let us continue to pray and call to heaven so he can heal us and heal the land. God bless you. Let us get together. Let us make America great again. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good evening.